Eddie sent me, oh, I forgot to mention, this might be a good question for the next Please Hold, from our man at the high-end art auction site. Quote, this may be common knowledge, but Dave's earliest pages appear to have been cut by hand because a few of the page edges for issue 4 weren't perfectly square. I noticed because they wouldn't line up exactly with the edges of the scanner. I wonder if Dave cut them himself to save money, unquote. Yes, Dave certainly did do that. Wherever I was buying them, I think that was still Schendel's stationery in Waterloo, which was a stationery store of a very, very good size, not Staples size, but the size of a good-sized stationery store at the time. And the second floor was all devoted to art materials. And I would go in and buy my art boards that I was drawing on. I think it was just basic Bristol board at the time. I think I had stopped buying the Mayfair paper, which always felt to me and looked to me like the Strathmore paper that the cartoonist drew on, which I knew professional cartoonists did draw on Strathmore paper. And this was the closest that I could get to the texture of the original artwork that I owned, not realizing that the Mayfair paper that I was using was far better suited to watercolor, and consequently was very porous and really didn't work and play well with India ink from pen nibs and brushes. So eventually I stopped buying that, and then went, okay, time to move up a weight class on that. And that was around issue 18, 19, 20, somewhere around there, that I started buying the illustration board. But yes, at the time, whatever Schendel Stationery charged to cut artboard down to size, it was 25 cents a cut or something like that. And it's like, forget it. I'll get them full size and just get them to roll them up and take them on the bus all the way back to Kitchener, this giant tube, and I'll cut them down myself and not charge myself 25 cents. So there you go. Yes, if you try to line up any of the early Cerebus pages with a scanner, you will definitely notice. Not only were these not cut professionally, they weren't cut on a cutting board. This was just Dave taking his ruler and getting an idea of, okay, this is where 11 by 17 is, and putting that on with pencil and a ruler, and then just taking an ordinary pair of sewing scissors and cutting my pages down to size. And then I was ready to draw my funny books. Which leads to the Death, Dark Dread auction, which my brave band of rebels is, as of this writing, winning. But there's 14 days to go. And is that still the case, that they're still winning?
Yes.
Okay.
I get an email from Heritage every day with, these are your bids, and I bid on a whole bunch of original art, and I'm only winning this one because of the kind and generous people that have said, we'll give you money, Matt, and if they back out, I'm gonna hunt them down.
You on the hook for some big coin.
Option A is everybody's nice and polite and gives me the money if we win, and option B is we get outbid and I can stop sweating.
Right, right. So you are the one on the hook. This is your heritage accounts auction.
Yep.
Not account that you have. Okay. All right. So what's the total dollar amount on issue number 4 that you've got in hand?
Everybody that's said okay, I'll kick in it's like 11,200, I think, or close to 11,200. And I put the bid at 10,000 and didn't do the math right, so now I'm on the hook because it's 12,000 with the buyer's premium. Yeah, you warned me about that too a while back.
Yes, the buyer's premium, which I don't know what kind of a house Jim Halpern's living in, but a lot of that house was paid for by buyer's premium. It's a healthy chunk that they charge you to win an auction at Heritage Auction.
20%.
Okay, go ahead.
It's 20%.
20%.
Whatever you bid, they add 20% as the buyer's premium, and I was doing the math and keeping it nice and steady, and then I'm like, okay, a bunch of money came in at once, and I'm doing the math in my head, and I'm like, I forgot to carry the 1. So I'm really
at a very bad spot where you definitely want to remember to carry the 1.
I'm really hoping that in the next 14 days somebody goes, oh, I really, really, really want to get in on this, and I'm going to say, and I really, 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 really want you to.
Okay, that brings us in an interesting direction because I'm going. Okay, I don't know how your brave stalwart band is going to do, but Dave Sim, or at least Aardvark Vanaheim, is kind of obligated to become part of your brave band. So I'm going to commit that Aardvark Vanaheim will go 2,000 US, with the understanding that Aardvark Vanaheim will get one of the pages.
Well, the deal was, when we first started and it was just me and my measly $200 that wasn't going to get anything, and I was putting together, it was, hey, if we all pool our money, we can win this auction, and then we'll send everything back to Dave. Because I'm the kind of guy that, $200, it's a lot of money, but at the same time, yeah, I can swing that. And if enough of us, we're all Cerebus fans, this makes sense. It's essentially like a can Kickstarter where, $100 and you're going to get prints of all 22 pages and the recreated cover, and everybody started asking me, well, who's paying for that? And I'm like, I'm going to burn that bridge when I get to it. and then it was, Larry Wooten was the first one that said, I'll give 2,078.11. And I went, okay, 2,000 for a page, because that's, the average page rate that we're thinking, the page would sell for. 78 for the year the issue came out, and then 11 cents for his can number. And I'm like, okay, and he was on board. Okay, we win this thing, we send everything back to Aardvark Vanaheim. And then a couple people were like, oh yeah, I'll kick in $2,000, but I want a page. And I'm like, well, right now the intention is the good intention, and it was, yeah, you're right, I can't kick in $2,000, I can only kick in 100. And it's like, all right, well, every penny counts. And then Dion Turner kicked in 2,500 and said, yeah, let's send everything back to Dave. And I'm like, okay, so the top 2 high rollers want to send everything back. And as I said when this first started, money talks, bullshit walks. If you want to pledge the money, cash on the barrelhead, we'll do whatever you want. And then somebody came in with, well, I'm willing to give 2,100, but I want a page. It's like, well, and I asked Larry and Dion, and at that point the scanner had gotten bought, and their scans automatically going back to Aardvark Vanaheim. Like, Aardvark Vanaheim is getting scans no matter if we win or not. So, well, does Dave need the art? Well, I mean, it's one of those, if we win and one guy wants a page and 20 other people don't, they want it to all go back, well then, okay, you have almost the complete issue 4. And it's been, as I keep saying to myself, this deal just keeps getting worse all the time because it keeps changing because, somebody kicks in money, they want a page, okay, we can make that happen. So the current plan is everybody that kicks in 2,000 is guaranteed a page. Anybody that kicks in less, if we have less than 22 people, we'll let you have a page as long as you're not kicking in $5. And that's still a little nebulous because I got to talk to everybody about, because there's like 9 of us, of okay, is everybody still cool with this, or is somebody going to get their panties in a bunch that they kicked in $2,000 and this guy only kicked in $600, and why are we going to let this $600 person have a page? And I'm like, well, because it's Margaret, and Margaret deserves a page, right, guys?
This could only happen with Cerebus fandom. You do realize. I mean, this is one of the implications of my strict policy over the years of going, no, this is about the fans. It's these people are as close to the center of this thing as you can possibly get, apart from being Dave Sim, which is why. I understand what you're doing, and I think we can't be surprised that it's going in these strange directions because everybody has their own take on each of these things, which is why I'm going, hey, I want to play too, in terms of I've never done this before. I have never purchased Cerebus artwork on behalf of Aardvark Vanaheim using Aardvark Vanaheim's money. And in a specific sense, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for Aardvark Vanaheim to do this from 2 angles, which is Aardvark Vanaheim can't consider it an investment because I don't sell the artwork. So it's all overhead. But at the same time, it's a good investment because the earliest Cerebus pages are the most valuable Cerebus pages. They have the widest market and the widest number of people who would go. I wouldn't ordinarily buy Cerebus artwork, but if I was going to buy Cerebus artwork, this is what I would buy. It's one of the earliest pages. So presumably those pages will increase in value, so this becomes more of a second administration thing than a first Eddie Kana instead of a first administration Dave Sim thing, because it's the odds that I would get down to the point of having to sell a page from Cerebus number 4 if Aardvark Vanaheim had one in the Cerebus archive are extremely slim. There's a lot of stuff. I would sell virtually everything else in the off-White House that isn't nailed down and in the off-site storage before I would sell a number 4 page. So it's one of those, this makes a lot of sense, this makes absolutely no sense. Gosh, that sounds like a Cerebus experience. That's why I'm saying Aardvark Vanaheim is in for a page, and we'll just say that in the larger sense, what I'm trying to do is to save you from your math error.
Well, thank you. And
you're welcome.
when I first posted that Heritage has good, in every post I put the rigmarole, and it's the stuff that carries over from day to day, and it changes a little bit, but usually it's the new service and I'll issue link to previews, the link to the A Moment of Service TeePublic store, because every month they have sales, so it's here's the link, and here's the verbatim text from the email they send me with the sale dates, where it's the dates are whatever day to whatever day and whatever day to whatever day, because there's usually 2 sales a month. Tell your fans that they can get 35% off and certain merch that they highlight. I think it's like hoodies, iPhone cases, and something else. And every time I quote it, it's very much I'm quoting ad copy that I didn't write. I'm not going to rewrite it. If you've read this once, it's the same spiel day after day after day. But
I'm not going to translate this into Cerebus fan for you.
I mean, I'm not even going to put a picture of some of the merchandise that we offer, because here's the link. Click over. You're going to see stuff. And like I'm trying to remember how many designs are on there now. It's got to be at least a dozen or two. And some of them have never sold a single thing, and some of them are really popular. And it's one of those where, when the email comes of, you made a sale, and I'm like, cool, we sold a t-shirt with Cerebus's head. All right, your margin is $2. And I'm like, it's neat, but at the same time, like, I mean, I know I owe Aardvark Vanaheim, I think, like a couple $100 of, these are the monthly like 1 month we made $40. Yay us. And the next month we made, I think, $2.75. It's not even an emotional roller coaster at this point. It's the little kiddie roller coaster that you stand by and watch your kid go in a little circle.
Even if they fall, they couldn't hurt themselves.
I mean,
I'm looking at that and I'm going, I really don't have time to go out and shop for clothes. I'm going, I really could use some new gray hoodies for winter time, because I've got like 3 or 4 of them, and 2 or 3 of them are on their last legs. And it's like, I should buy Cerebus gray hoodies. And I should really talk to Matt about that and find out, okay, what's it going to cost me for gray hoodies that have Cerebus on them? And then it gets into, do I have to look at all of the designs, or can I just say, can I get a Cerebus head on this one? So at some point up ahead, we'll deal with that. I interrupted your story.
So one of the links that's in the rigmarole is a link to Heritage, because back when you first started selling stuff through Heritage 10 years ago, I set up an email link of, I'm looking for Dave Sims stuff. So it sends me, every time there's an auction coming up, here's the Dave Sims stuff, and it's usually like graded books. There was some Glamourpuss stuff when the Glamourpuss auction started. And it's one of these, I used to, when something showed up, I would say, highlight it of, hey, there's, a graded copy of issue 8, 9.6. Right. If you're interested. And then now it's just here's a link to Heritage, and the link says Heritage has really neat stuff, and then I'll highlight something when it comes up. Well, when the issue 4 original art came up, I'm like, I put, including all 22 pages of the original art plus a recreation of the cover. And Eddie sent me an email going, all 22 pages? And I'm like, that's kind of what I'm thinking. And we emailed back and forth a bit, and at one point he's like, I kind of wonder if it's Siler's, because, Jeff has the closest association with Elrod in Cerebus fandom. And I'm like, I don't think so, because Jeff never mentioned that he owned issue 4 in its entirety. And that's the kind of thing he probably would have bragged about.
Yeah, it's Harry Kremer, Now and Then Books, bought one of the issues. There was 2 complete issue sales, number 4 and number 6. And I forget who the person was that bought the other complete issue, either at the time or shortly after it came out. Could have been Bruce Bergstrom, who was my art agent. That's a little bit later on, which is why I think it might not have been Bruce Bergstrom. Could have been somebody in the Midwest who just said, hey, what would you charge me for a complete issue of Cerebus? So there was the 2 sales that way. The provenance in that sense, in that case, is the estate of Harry Kremer was one of the complete issues. Heritage did auction the complete issue 6. So I tend to think that issue 6 was the one that Harry had, and I don't know who had number 4. But yeah, it's I've got the Darren Shan collection of comic art, the dedicated catalog for his collection. I don't think it's all of Darren's collection. I didn't even know his last name. I only knew that it was Darren in Ireland because all of my contacts with him were indirect. And I don't think this is all of his artwork that he owned, but it's definite. It looks like Heritage cherry picked. This is what he said. I'd be interested in auctioning this stuff, and I would like a catalog dedicated to my collection. And Heritage went through with a slide rule and went, this is the stuff that we could picture doing a separate catalog. This is the stuff that, this would have to just go in a weekly auction or in one of the regular catalogs. But they're definitely playing it up. They're playing it up big because I've been getting Heritage catalogs for a good, 5 or 6 years now, probably maybe even longer than that. And so I know what it is that they're saying with a page, with the way that they're showing it. And this is one of the pages has the cover recreation and the 22 pages thumbnail size with a description, and then the facing page has 4 of the pages enlarged, which means in Heritage language, we're expecting big things from them. We're expecting a big sale because we're dedicating 2 pages to this. And if they weren't expecting big bucks, then it would be here's the top page, here's the splash page, here's and you can see that we've done a computer simulation to show 22 pages underneath it, and this is all stuck down in 1/4 of the page, which means it'll bring in some money, but it's not going to bring in enough money for us to dedicate 2 pages to it. There's really the only Skyer no higher that you would get of Heritage auctions, composing it in the catalog, would be what they did with I think it's Journey into Mystery number 108 in the latest auction, where it's the complete issue number 108 Thor story, and because it's Jack Kirby, they I think Vince Coletta, they broke it up into individual pages. Here's page 1, you can bid on page 1. Here's page 2, you can bid on page 2. Then there was a backup 5-page Tales of Asgard story, and that one they did the 5-page treatment on. You're buying all 5 pages and bidding on those, but the others are individual pages, which is a testament to Jack Kirby, at the time of Journey into Mystery number 108. And this is probably the only guy where if we had a complete story, we'd still auction the pages individually, because that's how much Jack Kirby's pages go for. So,
well, we asked on the Facebook group why this auction wasn't going to be 23 individual lots, and the guy from Heritage came back with, this is the way they want to sell it. Like, we can't, we kind of suggested, hey, you could make a lot more breaking it up, and nope, it's going to be sold as a complete package.
Yeah. I would dispute that myself. I would say, no, I think you're always going to make more money auctioning the pages individually. But I think Heritage is, they're the guys that have the history on this, and they're the guys who have figured out everything, digitally and by algorithm and on slide rules as to, no, this is counterintuitive for the buyer, but this is how it actually works best for Heritage auctions. And you just have to take it as an article of faith that is true, because if there was a way to make more money off of this, Heritage auctions would definitely go for that, because that's what they're there for. That's what auction houses are there for, is to go, if you want to make the absolute most money off of this, even giving us a healthy cut, this is how we do it. And this is the stuff we know, this is the stuff we know. So there you go. It's interesting. I was also looking at, what happens with all of this free-floating Cerebus money if the issue 4, like you say, just goes through the roof, and we were left in the dust on the first 2 bids, and there was 4 other bids after that were all orders of magnitude higher than any amount of money that we could come up with. And then the next, like looking at this chronologically and according to the clock, the next one is the regular auction, the Heritage auction catalog, has got 2 pages from issue 9, and that's going to be auctioned the same day, Thursday, but starting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, as opposed to 1:30 in the afternoon for Darren Shan. And then the Cerebus number 1 pages that Darren Shan had, and I think there's 3 of them, those don't actually auction until Sunday.
Yeah, I bid on all 3 of them, and I got blown out of the water. I mean, it was one of those, they were token bids of, well, let's see what'll happen, and it was, I bid on it within 2 hours, it was, yeah, you're outbid, and I'm like, I'm not going to chase that.
Yeah, I think 14 days ahead of time, you're looking at hockey stick curve, unless you're willing to climb the hockey stick all the way up to the black tape.
And this was 19 days when they first went up. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have that 20 minutes of I'm winning this auction, and then I mean I've only put it in like $150. Like I knew as soon as I bid, I'm like, this is gonna go bye as soon as somebody gets off of work and checks their email.
What is it up to now? Are you following this?
I haven't looked. I think a couple grand per page. It might be like 3 or 4. I mean, I asked the Dark Treaders, okay, if we lose this, do we want to go after one of the pages from issue 1? And it was, no. And I'm like, well, I'm just asking.
What's that?
I asked the guys for the number 4 auction, I'm like, okay, if we lose number 4, do we want to go after any of the other pages that are up? And there was, no. And I'm like, well, hey, I perfectly understand that. I mean, 22 pages, there's a chance we can split this up and make people, okay, you get a page and you get a page, and, we're all going to fight over the page with, the J. Michael Straczynski Status Boy status page. But I don't, it's one of those, if it's just like page 2 of issue 1, nobody's going to be happy whatever we do with it if we want it.
Right. And I feel like an idiot because it was a Mid-Ohio con, the one where Gerhard and I did the Cerebus as Ninja with the dragon piece and auctioned it there. And a guy came up to me, literally when I was just walking through the dealer's room, and said, Mr. Sim, I have a question for you. Are you interested in buying pages from Cerebus #1? And I went, why do you ask? And it's like, he opened up this portfolio and pulled out, I think, 4 or 5 pages and said, I've got these pages from issue 1. Would you be interested in buying them? I want. And I don't know what the specific price was, but it was probably $500, $600. And it's like, are you getting $600 for pages from #1? You're dreaming with your eyes open, buddy. So not only did I sell them for $10, I could have had them again for a fraction of what they're going for now. So just goes to show. Just goes to show.
Okay, so there's a guy I follow on Twitter who's big into comics, and he shared he shared a tweet, and it's a picture of Amazing Fantasy 15, it was a couple of the key Marvel Silver Age books, and then he had an Action #1 and I think a Detective 27 in this picture. And the tweet was, I found these comics at a garage sale and I got them all for $5 a piece. What do you think? And it was obvious he was joking. He didn't actually do it, but it was just to get people. They're gonna click on the tweet, going, "Wait a minute, there's no way he did this." And my response was, that book clearly says that book is clearly labeled 10 cents. You got ripped off.
You overpaid, buddy. That's like 500 times, 1,000 times. My math is terrible,
but yeah,
you got taken to the cleaner.
So I mean, yeah, you sold them for $10. You could have gotten them for $500, but the smart response would have been, "Well, I sold them for $10, so I'll give you $20."
Right.
No sense in getting ripped off by yourself.
Right.